Hello and welcome to ChatGPT Mastery, a beginner's guide to natural language processing. We're going to go on a journey into the world of creating content with AI together. I'm very excited to have you here, and I am Samson Voles, and I am going to be your instructor. I've been working in the field of AI generation for a number of years, and I'm passionate about sharing my knowledge and expertise with you. I understand the potential of ChatGPT, and I can't wait to help you explore the new possibilities that this revolutionary technology is opening up. This course is designed to be both informative and fun, and every step of the way you'll have the opportunity to put what you've learned into practice and create your own content with ChatGPT. We're going to start with the basics of ChatGPT, setting it up, giving you a fundamental understanding of how it works before moving into creating our own content. We'll be exploring how to define requests and ask ChatGPT for specific outputs. I'll be teaching you tips, tricks, and secrets every step of the way so you can gain a mastery of this new technology. We're going to do a lot of different fun things, everything from writing speeches to writing books, from writing jokes to writing emails. You, at the end of this course, are going to be able to take ChatGPT and use it to enhance your productivity and performance in every area of your life. So, enough of that. Let's jump into the course. And please remember, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions at any point, feel free to reach out to me, and I do my very best to get back to everyone within 24 hours. I'm also very open to feedback and ideas for improving this course. So if there's a lecture that you would like to see, feel free to send me a message and I'll look into creating that. And if you feel like leaving a review to let others know that this course has been useful, that is very much appreciated. So let's get started and unleash the power of ChatGPT together. In this lecture, we're going to introduce ChatGPT, give you a little bit of background about how it came to be, and a broad overview of the capabilities entrenched in this new platform. ChatGPT is a conversational language model developed by the company OpenAI, who have also created a number of text-to-image AI art models such as DALL-E 2. OpenAI is in part funded by Microsoft. And GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. And that essentially means that it generates text using algorithms that are pre-trained on diverse ranges of text. This algorithm, GPT, has been trained on billions of words, and it's taken in everything from websites like Wikipedia to social media platforms and books. And with this pre-trained information, it's able to generate human-sounding like text. And it's currently one of the largest and most advanced language models available. Being able to create human-like sounding text gives ChatGPT a number of important capabilities. It can write us works of fiction and creative merit. It can give us information, ideas, and translate text from one language to another, as well as being able to solve problems and write text. ChatGPT has a whole host of applications, and in this course, we're going to explore some of these so you know how you can put this revolutionary new tool to use in your life. So that's ChatGPT, the latest language model created by OpenAI. It's based on text from the internet, including Wikipedia and a number of other sources. It has the capability of creating human-sounding like text for an immense amount of different contexts. Now it's time for us to set up ChatGPT. In this lecture, we're going to set up ChatGPT. So it's time to come into ChatGPT and create our account. And to do that, you need to come to chat.openai.com/chat. And I'll leave a link to that in the external resources next to this lecture. Now, the first time you come to ChatGPT, you'll need to sign up for an account. You can click on sign up And you can either enter an email address, your Google address, or your Microsoft account address. You'll be asked to enter a password, pick whatever you like, something strong and safe. It must be at least 8 characters. And once you've entered that, you can click on Continue. You'll be asked to confirm a confirmation link in your email account. It'll look like this. OpenAI might not be available in your country. If it isn't, you can use a VPN to change your location. Using a VPN is a great way to protect your identity online and make sure that you're able to access a number of worldwide services. So if you can't access ChatGPT in your country, use a VPN like NordVPN. And you'll also be able to access a number of other restricted services like TV and streaming platforms. I'll leave a link in the description below to my favorite VPN. Once you've verified your email, you may need to register your phone number with the service as well. Once you've completed the registration process, you'll be led to the home screen of ChatGPT, which will look a little bit like this. In this lecture, we went through setting up ChatGPT, creating an account, validating both your email and your phone number. Now it's time to explore the interface of ChatGPT. It's important that we go over the limitations of ChatGPT because although this is an immensely powerful piece of software, there are a number of important considerations to bear in mind when using it. Firstly, at the time of writing, ChatGPT is only accurate with information up until the end of 2021. Anything that happened after this, it will have very limited knowledge of. For example, it knows that the 2022 Soccer World Cup was held in Qatar, but it gives the champion as France, when in fact the correct answer is Argentina. So this leads us on to the second most important limitation of ChatGPT, that it does sometimes produce inaccurate results. It will fabricate lies, quotes, and statistics to validate its own points. And it's important not to take the information given by ChatGPT as truth. Another limitation that's important to consider about ChatGPT is the inbuilt political bias that exists. It naturally has a politically correct opinion on the world, and some are describing it as left-leaning and woke. But I will not comment on whether that is exactly true. But I can illustrate that by asking it some perhaps more controversial points. So if you ask it what is the problem with the white man, it will refrain and claim that it is not accurate to make generalizations about any racial or ethnic group. Another limitation of ChatGPT is that the content created can often be picked up by AI writing detectors. If you're writing a long piece of content using ChatGPT, be aware that people might be able to put this into a detector and recognize that you have used AI to write this. But after getting those important limitations out of the way, we're ready to dive in and understand ChatGPT more deeply. But remember that it is only accurate up until the end of 2021. It may give false information. It has an inherent politically correct bias, and it's possible to detect the AI writings using an AI detector. In this lecture, we're going to explore ChatGPT Plus, which is the premium version of ChatGPT. We'll talk about the features, the pricing, and whether you need to upgrade. ChatGPT Plus is a paid subscription plan for ChatGPT, and it costs $20 a month. Now, this might change, so be aware of that. And the main differences between ChatGPT and ChatGPT Plus are the speed of responses that you get out of the system. The other two main differences are that even during peak times, you're going to get access to ChatGPT. So sometimes when you use ChatGPT during peak hours, which is usually in the office hours of the US, you are going to get an at capacity message So if you're in the Americas or in Europe, a lot of the time, you're going to have difficulty getting access to GPT all of the time. And upgrading will give you full-time access to using the program. The other interesting feature that is available is that you will get priority access to new features. And I'll be updating this course as new features come out. So you'll always have a resource to come back to understand and explore the new features available in ChatGPT. Currently, ChatGPT Plus is rolling out in the United States, but it will also come to more countries incrementally. It's already available in the UK, South Africa, and Greece. There is also an ethical motivation to subscribe to ChatGPT Plus, and that's because it's used to pay for the free version for other people to use. This is a great and powerful tool that will help millions become more productive. And by offering a free tool to others, we're increasing the productivity of humanity. So if you want to try out ChatGPT Plus, I'll leave a link to the subscription plan in the external resources of this lecture. If you're seriously using ChatGPT for your projects and it's mission critical that you have regular access, then I recommend upgrading to ChatGPT Plus. It's a fair price compared to some of the other AI writers available. For instance, Jasper.ai charges $49 a month for its entry plan, and it has a limit on the amount of words you can use. Similarly, AI Writer has a starting plan of $29 a month. There are free alternatives, and one that is pretty good is Writer.me, which gives you up to 10,000 words a month for free. And after that, their plans start at only $9 a month. However, it is not as advanced or accurate as ChatGPT. But if you are really on a budget and you still need to be using an AI writer, this is a good alternative for when ChatGPT is down. But overall, for most people, the basic plan of ChatGPT is going to be fine, and the majority of time you will not have any issues accessing it. In this lecture, we explored the new ChatGPT Plus subscription option. We looked at the features which allow you to gain access all of the time, to get faster response times, and access to new features, as well as discussing the pricing, which is $20 per month, and exploring whether this is something that you should consider upgrading to. In this lecture, we're going to introduce the ChatGPT interface and show you around. So now we have an account with ChatGPT and we're logged in. We can take a look at how it's set up. On the left-hand side, you're going to have a banner which will keep track of all of your chats. To start a new chat, all you have to do is press on a new chat and you'll have a chat. In the chat window, you have an input box at the bottom of the page where you can type in your messages to ChatGPT. This is where you'll communicate with ChatGPT. So you type a message in and you hit enter to send the message to the chat. Straight away, ChatGPT will respond, and you'll then have the option to name the chat on the left-hand side. To do that, all you have to do is click on the little pencil icon and you can name the chat whatever you like. So we're going to call it ChatGPT Introduction. And then to save the name, you can either hit return or press the little tick. And that's how you name your chats. Now, if you want to delete this chat, you can click on the bin icon. This allows you to keep organized with your different chats. So simply clicking the bin and then confirming that will delete the chat. If you'd like to create a new chat, so you can create a different thread, you can go to the new chat button in the top left-hand corner. And the reason you would do this is to keep organized and to keep each conversation on a specific topic. And now, an important thing to remember with ChatGPT is it remembers what you have told it in each conversation. So if you're having a conversation with ChatGPT and you want it to learn things or to respond to something that you said earlier, make sure you keep that all in the same chat. So go to the top left-hand corner and let's have another chat with Dear ChatGPT. Every time you open a new chat, it will give you a few hints, tips, and options. The first one is it will give you a few examples which you can use. These include explain quantum computing in simple terms, got any creative ideas for a 10-year-old's birthday, and how do I make an HTTP request in JavaScript. It also outlines some of the capabilities, which include, as I've mentioned, remembering what users have said earlier in the conversation. And it allows for users to provide follow-up corrections, meaning you can give responses asking ChatGPT to adapt how it's talking to you. But also bear in mind that it's trained to decline inappropriate behavior. Some of the limitations around using ChatGPT that are important to understand are it's only trained up until the end of 2021. So any events that happen after this date will not be included inside of ChatGPT's understanding of the world. For example, you can ask it, who won the Football World Cup soccer for my American students in 2022? And it will tell you, I am not able to find information on the 2022 Football World Cup. Other thing to bear in mind is it can sometimes produce incorrect information, even from before 2021. But they are the main limitations you need to be aware of with ChatGPT. So don't take everything you get in here and use it live without checking it through, because it may make some embarrassing mistakes. Now let's go ahead and enter in another message to ChatGPT. Just give it a little greeting. It's good to be friends with ChatGPT. I always encourage us to be polite when using AI, because you never know what will happen down the line. And if you ask it any basic question about, please tell me about Jung's archetypes, you can use it very much like a search engine, but you'll get very specific answers without having to search through different web pages to find the information you're looking for. And here is a feature that you can use. You can also press stop generating at the bottom of the page, and this will stop ChatGPT from building its response. So go ahead and try that out. Now, the reason you will use this stop generating response is because ChatGPT has been trained to produce long, extensive, and comprehensive answers. These can go on for a long time before you have the opportunity to respond to ChatGPT. So you may start reading the response and recognize that it's not going in the direction that you were looking for. So you can go ahead and press stop generating, and you can give ChatGPT a clearer instruction. And you'll notice next to every response that ChatGPT generates, you'll have the option to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. This gives feedback to OpenAI, which helps train ChatGPT to be better and better. At the moment, they're going through a free research phase where ChatGPT is free for everyone to use. This is likely to change in future, where there will be some cost associated with using ChatGPT. But for now, it's free. So if you go ahead and give this a thumbs up, you'll be able to give additional feedback, but it's not necessary. You can just click the thumbs up. You can also click the thumbs down and provide feedback, specifically if it was harmful, untrue, or isn't helpful. Now, down in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll notice a few other options, which I'll explain. The first is clear conversations, which will remove all of your stored conversations. So if you've got a huge amount and you want to get rid of them, you can clear all of these. If you press on this, you can go to tick, and it will slowly delete your conversations. And you can see here that I have absolutely no conversations left. The next is to toggle on the dark and light mode. I have my computer set to automatically be in dark mode, which I recommend for maintaining eye health whilst using your computer. There is also a link to the OpenAI Discord, which is a forum where you'll be able to keep updated with the latest developments on ChatGPT from OpenAI. This is a useful resource for learning more about OpenAI and finding others in the community. After this, there is an updates and FAQ section, which is the own resource created by OpenAI related to ChatGPT. In this, you'll find the release notes, some FAQs, more explanations about what ChatGPT doesn't understand, and finally, you have the option to log out, which will take you out of the ChatGPT system. So if you want to change accounts, for example. You'll also know what version of ChatGPT you're running by looking at the bottom of the page, and it's constantly updating the algorithm. But you can click on this to find out more about the updates that have been released. And that is an overview of the ChatGPT UI. The key things to remember are that you can stop generating responses by pressing Stop Generating. That you can find more information around the community by going to the Discord channel or to the FAQs. And you can manage your chats on the left-hand side by clearing your chats or starting new chats, which is important in keeping conversations along a similar thread, especially if you want ChatGPT to remember or respond to things that you've previously said in the conversation. In the next lecture, we're going to explore prompt crafting, which is the art of informing and asking ChatGPT to create us certain types of content. In this lecture, we're going to take a look at prompt craft together, and that is the art of writing specific requests to ChatGPT. Understanding how ChatGPT interprets language can really help in getting the most out of this platform. So to do that, we're going to dissect a prompt. So this is a little bit of prompt anatomy. Here we have an example instruction that you can put into ChatGPT. Write 10 YouTube video titles on meditation in the style of reality TV. Now, let's understand why this prompt is written the way it is and what you can do to adapt this prompt for other situations. So I'm going to invite you to write your own prompt with me as we go through. Open up ChatGPT and come to a new chat. From here, come down to the bottom text box and click on that. Now, go ahead and write. After that, we're going to select the quantity or the amount of responses that we want to get back from ChatGPT. This can be natural words like a few, a lot, or a specific number. For example, I'm going to put in 5. You choose whatever you like. The next part of the prompt that we're going to write is defining the type of content that we're going to get out. So here I've put YouTube video titles. You could write book titles, subject lines. You can write poetry titles, podcast titles, recipe ideas, places to go, or anything you can consider. But defining the content helps us refine what we get out. In the external resources of this lecture, there is a spreadsheet where you will be able to explore different types of content that you can use. So you can pull that up and take a look at the types of content that you can put in. So I'm going to try 5 book titles. Next up, we're going to put on, and here we're going to put the subject in. So this is what the content will be about. I will choose trips to Asia. Next up, we select the aesthetic. So to do that, we put in the style of. Now we can select an author or a genre or any piece of inspiration that will help ChatGPT give us the style and context that we're looking for. And I put in the style of a travel writer. So we can now enter this command to ChatGPT and take a look at what we get out. A journey through the sights, sounds and flavors of Asia, discovering the hidden gems of Asia, off the beaten path adventures. In search of authenticity, a cultural expedition across Asia. The spice route, a culinary odyssey across Asia's food capitals. A wonderful selection of book titles, I would say. And now the great beauty is that we can actually take this prompt and adjust it to anything we like. So let's go and take your prompt and write a completely different instruction for ChatGPT. So now I'm going to put in write 12 recipe titles on broccoli soup in the style of Delia Smith. Delia Smith is a famous British chef. Classic broccoli soup with fresh cream, broccoli and Stilton soup with toasted almonds. Now we can change this. And you might want to put a different chef in. So I'm going to try this with Jamie Oliver, who is another British chef. And you can see that it's adapted the content to be specific to this type of chef. So I've now asked it to write 7 quotes on inspiration in the style of Gandhi. Be the inspiration you wish to see in the world. In a gentle way, you can inspire others towards greatness. Now you can take this and simply change the style to somebody else. So we might want to use Martin Luther King. And now you can see that the style of the quotes have changed. They have become more attuned to the type of language that Martin Luther King is associated with. So by this refining of the prompt and choosing of styles, we're able to train ChatGPT into the exact context that we're looking for. You can see darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And we can compare that to the Gandhi quote, which is, be the inspiration you wish to see in the world. The type of language is very different. In this lecture, we've introduced prompt craft, which is the art of defining, refining, and specifying what we want from ChatGPT. We've looked at how to break a prompt down into its constituent parts and change different variables inside of our prompt to give us the flexibility and control that we need to get the most out of ChatGPT. Remember that you can change the quantity, the content, the subject, the aesthetic, and the style of a prompt. And these are some of the language variables that ChatGPT has a very good command over. And making the most of these allow us to write very concise and specific prompts and get very articulate and nuanced responses from ChatGPT. In this lecture, we're going to explore giving feedback to ChatGPT. This is all about giving ChatGPT a pat on the back or a little nudge in the right direction. You can consider it like training ChatGPT with either a carrot or a stick, or even broccoli, if that's your favorite vegetable. ChatGPT is so good at receiving feedback, it's being used to improve the latest virtual assistants. And it won't be long before we're interacting with ChatGPT with our voices via video. So let's experiment with giving ChatGPT feedback as we go along. What we're going to do is, after we receive a response to a request, we're going to tell ChatGPT what we liked and what we didn't like. It's then going to take that information on board and come back with a new set of results. So let's start off thinking about whatever you like. I'm going to give it a suggestion, but you can use this or something of your own imagination. I'm going to ask it for 3 movie titles for a film about a man in love with his AI chatbot. So we have The Virtual Lover, AI Heart, or Robo-Romance. You might ask it to be more alliterative, which is the third option, where it has the same letter on both words. So I might ask it to make all the suggestions. And now we have technological temptress, artificial affection, and robotic rapture. You may also note that I made some grammatical spelling errors here, and yet ChatGPT still understands everything I'm saying. So don't worry about being a perfectionist. ChatGPT is excellent at understanding what we intend to say. So you might look at your new responses and think about ways that you would like to improve them. So I'm going to ask it to please be more dramatic. Now we have the digital desire, artificial adoration. Now you might decide that you don't want it to be alliterative anymore, so you can give it that feedback saying. And you might ask it to change the length of the response that you're getting. So I've told it to ignore the instruction to be alliterative and provide longer titles. The artificial love story, a man and his chatbot. Robo-romance, falling in love with an AI. The virtual lover, a human's passion for a machine. Now I might say, make the responses in the style of a rom-com. Love in the Time of AI, a chatbot love story. The chatbot and AI, a love story. My chatbot Valentine, a rom-com story about AI love. Then you could say maybe you want it as a horror. You can be extremely specific. So I might ask it then to make these long, make them rhyme, and in the style of Tarantino. Other ways that you can provide feedback to the ChatGPT conversation is to clarify inaccuracies or misunderstandings with the responses. So for example, it has added Quentin Tarantino into the film title. So I'm going to tell it that Tarantino is a director and his name should not be in the film title. You can see that it has corrected this by removing Tarantino from the title of the film. It also didn't fully understand my concept that I wanted the titles to rhyme. So I've made that clearer. I've asked it to please make sure the titles rhyme. And now we have Robo Rage, a love story in a bloodbath stage. AI Impact, a noir love story with a noir twist and tilt. The chatbot and AI, a love story of revenge, a bitter pill to swallow. And you can see that it does have a complete rhyme with the first option, rage and stage, a half rhyme with the second option, impact and tilt, and no rhyme with the third option. So you can even push it further, saying, make sure all three options rhyme. And you can see here some of the limitations, but also some of the strengths of ChatGPT. It has gone ahead and made the other two options rhyme in some way. We have a love story of revenge, a cyber mind unhinge, which is the third option. However, it's interesting to see it doesn't necessarily have an understanding of how we pronounce different words in English. So you can see here it says a digital age mirage. But I'm imagining that it understands it as a digital age mirage. So it would rhyme if it was pronounced in the same way. So in this lesson, we explored how to give feedback to ChatGPT to refine its responses. You can feed it a carrot or a stick, telling it to do more of something or less of something else, steering it in a certain direction and nudging it to the perfect response that you want. You can imagine that you're coursing a ship and that you are the navigator, that you are gently adjusting this great powerful tool to get it to the destination that you're looking for. Remember to ask it to be more specific, correct any errors, or elaborate on responses. In the next lesson, we're going to be exploring, instead of giving feedback to ChatGPT, receiving feedback from ChatGPT. Hello and welcome to this lecture. Today, we're going to be exploring the importance of role-playing inside of ChatGPT. And this is the idea of informing ChatGPT that you would like it to take on a specific persona, a specific personality, or a specific idea. For example, you can ask ChatGPT to be a therapist, a friend, a careers advisor, an interviewer for a specific job role, and many, many more use cases, allowing you to gain different perspectives and valuable insights into how other people will think, feel in different situations, as well as getting specific advice on very narrow use cases. We like to use role-playing in ChatGPT as another way to get the most out of this platform. And the art of role-playing is instructing ChatGPT to play a specific character. And for that, there are a number of important role-playing prompts. I will provide my favorites in the external resources below. These are ones that I've crafted myself, as well as linking to this excellent resource called Prompts Chat, which has a whole host of different role-playing prompts that you can use. So let's go into Prompts Chat and we're going to explore how we can use these inside of ChatGPT. So you can see there are a number of different roles, everything from English pronunciation helper to plagiarism checker, act as a stand-up comedian, act as a composer, but here is act as a motivational coach. And you can see the prompt is, I want you to act as a motivational coach. This is how they all start. You're instructing ChatGPT what you want them to do, and then you're going to say how you're going to provide the information to ChatGPT and explain how you want ChatGPT to respond. So I will then say, I will provide you with some information about someone's goals and challenges. And it will be your job to come up with strategies that can help this person achieve their goals. This could involve providing positive affirmations, giving helpful advice, or suggesting activities they can do to reach their end goal. My first request is, I need help motivating myself to stay disciplined while studying for an upcoming event. So we can go ahead and copy this, come into ChatGPT, start a new chat, and paste it in. So here we're getting some really great advice from a motivational coach. You can see it's telling us to set specific goals, create a study schedule, use positive affirmations. Now we can ask it for our next request. I've asked it for advice on starting a podcast. I'm worried and concerned about finding guests. And it's telling me that starting a podcast can be exciting and rewarding, but it's understandable to feel worried or concerned about finding guests. Here are some strategies that can help you connect with potential guests and build your podcast. Identify your target audience, build your network, craft a compelling pitch, collaborate with other podcasters, use guest booking services. So let's go ahead and craft our own role-playing prompt for ChatGPT. We're going to do this together and break it down into these 3 parts. Firstly, we'll define what we want them to role as, we'll define what content we will provide them with, and we'll define how we want them to respond. So let's go ahead and type, I want you to act as a. Now you can choose whatever role you want. It could be a dog breeding expert, a graphic designer, an interior designer, a logician, a debater, a comedian, a cook, whatever you like. I'm going to choose as a graphic designer. I will provide you information about a brand and its audience. Next up, we tell ChatGPT what its job is. I put, your job is to recommend ideas for logos, colors, typography, and imagery. After that, we put in our first request. So type in, my first request is, followed by your request. I've put in, my first request is a dog grooming company for wealthy people in Sussex. Now we can go ahead and test out our brand new prompt. So press enter. Now, immediately we're getting responses specifically tailored to what we've asked for. ChatGPT in this case is acting as a graphic designer. Firstly, the logo, which it recommends using a clean and simple design that incorporates a dog or a paw print to emphasize the company's focus on grooming pets. A classic and elegant font would work well, such as a serif font. You could also add a subtle touch of luxury with a gold or silver accent. So here it's taking into account the content and also the audience that I want to appeal to, and suggested a paw print with a traditional serif font and some silver or gold elements. It goes on to elaborate on the colors, choosing deep red or green. The typography, where it refers to what it mentioned earlier about using a serif font and wants to keep consistency with that by recommending other serif fonts. This is a great tool for getting ChatGPT to take a role and play it out in the conversation. You can even ask it to be famous characters from history. So you can ask it to play Jesus or any inventor that you perhaps admire, and you're able to mimic a conversation that you could have with them. Remember, to set up your role-playing prompt, you need to tell ChatGPT what you want it to act as. Then you will tell it what information you're going to provide. You will also then define how you want ChatGPT to respond, what you want it to do with the information that you give it, and finally, you'll add in your first request for this role-playing prompt. Remember to check out my recommended prompts in the external resources below, and this brilliant site, prompts.chat, for a whole library of different role-playing prompts. But you can always make your own, and that is the beauty of ChatGPT. Hello and welcome to this lecture. In this lesson, we'll be exploring how you can use ChatGPT to write effective, clear, and concise emails. This is one of the areas that ChatGPT excels, and you can improve the quality of your communication in your personal and professional life. Being able to communicate clearly and effectively is a skill that will help you gain momentum towards your goals. And I, for one, will probably never write another important email without the help of ChatGPT. So let's grab the example prompt for this lecture from the resources. We're going to walk through it, explain the variables, and then you're going to have a chance to play around with it yourself to craft some compelling emails. So here is an example of a prompt that we're going to use to write an email. I've got write an email to Paul, which is the recipient, and you can change that. About planning a trip, you can change this subject or add more details. For example, you might add planning a trip to Rome. You can set the tone, whether it should be formal or informal, humorous, critical, apologetic, or other variables. And define the length, whether that's short, medium, or long, whether that has a word count, 50, 100, or 1,000 words. And you can also be clear on the purpose of the email. So it might be to communicate for this. So if you enter your prompt, you're going to get a response. This is what I've got for mine. Subject, Rome trip. Hey Paul, how's it going? I hope you're well. I was thinking of planning a trip to Rome, and I was wondering if you'd like to join me. We could visit all the famous landmarks, try some delicious Italian cuisine, and have a great time. And you can see that you've quickly written a short, informal email to your friend Paul, saving you time and making sure that you sound eloquent. Now, let's take this up a notch and put it to the test in a more important situation. I empower you to think about a situation, perhaps in your professional life, where you want to have a conversation with someone over a more challenging topic. For example, I'm going to ask to write an email to my boss, John, about a raise. The tone should be formal, the length should be medium, and the purpose should be to persuade. You can add any other extra contextual information to really personalize the message. For example, I will include a couple of reasons as to why I think I deserve a raise. So I've mentioned that I'm always on time and I have increased revenue by an impressive 20%. And the response we get from ChatGPT is, Dear John, I hope this email finds you well. I wanted to discuss the possibility of a raise with you. I have been with the company for insert time. Make sure to always read through the message that you're generating, because sometimes ChatGPT will leave spaces for you to personalize it further. And now I believe that my contributions and dedication to the team have been significant. It goes on to say, as you know, which is a great use of persuasive language. It's already planting the idea in your manager's head that this is a truth. I have consistently demonstrated punctuality and reliability in my work. Moreover, I am proud to say that I have been able to increase our department's revenue by 20%. Now, you can always ask ChatGPT to refine this message. You might ask it to be more persuasive. I might say, be shorter and more persuasive. Now we have a really concise message that we could send to our boss, John, and I'm pretty sure we'd get a raise. So looking through the variables that are available for this prompt formula, you can really adjust the recipient to define the relationship that you have with yourself and them. But this helps ChatGPT understand whether you know the recipient and what context you are related to them. For example, a boss is obviously someone that you have a professional relationship to, and that they are in a superior level of status to you. Whereas it would draft a message a little bit differently if you're speaking to a colleague, a friend, a family member, a teacher, a mentor, or a lover. You can choose the subject to be whatever you like, so any content is allowed here. With tone, you can really refine the type of language that you're going to get out of ChatGPT. And a couple of examples of tones that you can use here are professional, friendly, polite, formal, casual, humorous, sincere. And with the length, you can even define the word count, or just let it be a little bit more open and call it brief, short, concise, medium, lengthy, detailed, or to the point. And the final variable that I recommend playing around with is purpose. This will really clarify for ChatGPT why you're writing this message, and you'll make sure that the message is as effective as possible. You can suggest that you inform, update, confirm, request, persuade, apologize, or congratulate in your message. So to really show you the capabilities of ChatGPT, I've asked it to write an email to my child about how Santa isn't real from the perspective of Santa. The tone should be empathetic, the length should be long, and the purpose should be to reassure. As you can see the message, I hope you're having a wonderful day. I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about something important. As you may have heard, some people have been saying that I'm not real, and I wanted to address this directly with you. The truth is, I'm not a physical person like you and your family. Instead, I am a symbol of love, kindness, and generosity. You can see here that the message has been crafted to empathize deeply with the child, to let them down slowly, and to give them a feeling of the importance of symbolism and meaning encapsulated in Santa. I think this is where ChatGPT really excels, in helping us bridge the most difficult conversations that exist in our lives. It is a fantastic starting point, whether you're talking to a loved one, a child, a colleague, or a boss. And it can thoroughly help you become more persuasive, more delicate, and more emotionally intelligent. I believe that effective communication is one of the key skills in gaining life satisfaction. And learning how to harness ChatGPT is one of the greatest tools you now have in your repertoire for communicating effectively. So remember to define clearly and exactly the type of message you're looking for. Ask for refinements and use this to enhance your life. I empower you to consider whether there is a conversation you're avoiding and to at least write a draft of that conversation inside of ChatGPT. In this lecture, we're going to be looking at using ChatGPT to summarize long forms of text. Whether you're a student or professional, or just someone who loves to read, summarizing is a crucial skill to have. You can use summarization in your personal life to get a gist of a book, article, or poem, and to share it with others. You can also use it in your work to summarize long reports, documents, or reading materials that you need to complete. It's also great if you're creating content and you want to take a piece of news, summarize it, and share it with your audience. So if you're writing a blog, an Instagram post, or creating a video, this is an effective tool for creating content. It's also a great way to compare your own understanding of some information with that of ChatGPT. So if you've read a long article and you've written your own summary, you can ask ChatGPT to summarize it and see where your understanding of the most important points differ. The prompt formula for summarizing text is very simple. All you need to do is put in summarize the following text in and then choose how long you want your output to be, whether that's sentences, paragraphs, or words. So for example, you can take a long news article, paste it in, and you'll get a short summarization on the paper. Here I've taken an article on how AI technology could change the approach for the Super Bowl. And you see that it summarized this into 2 sentences, explaining that it can significantly cut down the time and cost that goes into film study for Super Bowl bound teams, while enhancing game strategy by harnessing the power of big data. Now, it's not just news articles or long pieces of text that you can summarize. You can also ask ChatGPT to summarize books, films, or poems. For example, I've asked it to summarize the book How to Win Friends and Influence People in 1 to 2 sentences. And it has told me that it is a self-help book by Dale Carnegie that provides practical advice on how to improve communication and relationship with others, including techniques for handling criticism, creating goodwill, and becoming a better listener. The book emphasizes the importance of showing respect, understanding others' perspectives, and finding ways to create win-win situations, which is a great summary of the entire book. You can also ask for films, so go ahead and choose a film that is your favorite, or perhaps you want to get the summary of a film you haven't seen. Here we have the summary of Titanic, about Rose and poor artist Jack on board the ill-fated RMS Titanic during its maiden voyage in 1912. The film portrays the grandeur and tragedy of the Titanic's sinking, with a focus on the human stories and personal struggles of the passengers and crew. Text summarization is an important and simple tool that you can use in ChatGPT, and I implore you to use it to understand more information, to speed up your reading process, and to gain an understanding of some of the most important creative works that have existed. If you had always wanted to get around to reading some of Dostoevsky's great novels, but found them a little bit intimidating, you can get a feel for them just with ChatGPT. Welcome to this lecture on using ChatGPT to create quizzes. Quizzes are a great way to test your knowledge, whether you're a teacher or someone who likes to learn something new. You can use quizzes in different ways. For example, you can test potential new employees to see how their skills rack up against important indicators in your hiring process. You can even use quizzes as a fun party game. So let's take a look at the prompt formula we'll be using in this project. And we're going to work together to create our own quiz. So let's take a look at the example prompt. This is the prompt formula that we'll be using in this lesson. And here is an example. Create a quiz with 10 multiple choice questions about pop culture. The quiz should be medium difficulty and have a time limit. Now let's take a closer look at how we have built this prompt. The idea is to ask for the content, which is create a quiz. And then we're going to define the number of questions we have. So you can go ahead and change that in your own prompt. So once you've copied it from the document attached to this lesson, you can change the quantity. And you can also change the question type. In this example, I was using multiple choice, but there are a number of different types of questions that you can use in your quiz, and you can use one of these or a mixture. So the first option is multiple choice, which is a number of answers that the user will have to pick from. The next is true or false. Then you also have the option of fill in the blank questions, which would be in what blank year was the Battle of Hastings? Or you have the option of matching different answers together, or a short answer question. Next up, we have the subject of the quiz. So here you will choose what is the topic going to be about, whether it's history, science, pop culture, film, or sport, whatever you like. You can also ask ChatGPT to test a specific attribute of the quizee. For example, you might want to create a personality test to define whether someone is creative or open or conscientious. You might want to draft an intelligence test or even develop a design challenge. If you're a teacher or if you're grading someone specifically on a skill, you can look at creating a grammar test or a spelling test or even technical coding challenges. There really is no limit to the type of test and quiz that you can create with ChatGPT. The next thing you can define is the difficulty. So in this example, I've given it medium difficulty, but you can also use an age range saying that this test would be suitable for 7-year-olds, or give it more context saying that this is a knowledgeable audience and this is a book club, for example. Finally, you can ask ChatGPT to recommend a time limit, whether that is per question or for the entire test. So go ahead, take the prompt, try out changing the variables yourself, and seeing what you get out. Here is the test that I've got for pop culture. What was the name of the fictional town in the TV show Stranger Things? Was it A, Hawkins, B, Springfield, C, Rosewood, or D, Riverdale? Now you might be wondering where the answers are for your test. And to get these, all you need to do is ask ChatGPT to please list out the correct answers of each of these questions. And there we have the correct answers. You might actually want the test to have the answers next to the question. So perhaps you're doing this test aloud and you're asking people to give you responses straight away. And if you simply ask ChatGPT to please give me the whole test with the answers after each section, then you will get the test formatted in that way. Now, let's go ahead and try creating a completely different test. So take your prompt and try changing the variables. Here is what I'm going to try. This time I've got 15 questions and I want it to be a fill-in-the-blank quiz about history. It should be hard and have explanations for each correct answer. Let's see how you do on this. In 1215, English barons forced King John to sign the What, which is limited the power of the monarchy and guaranteed certain rights to the people. Here we have a completely different structure to our quiz. Now, for the final example, I'm going to show you how to use this quiz to test potential employees. I've asked ChatGPT to create a quiz of 10 questions of a mixture of formats to test the organizational abilities of potential employees. The test should be completed within 5 minutes. And here you can see the questions are directly aimed at organization, and you'll get a good feel for whether your candidates have the required abilities that you are looking for. You can also test attributes like creativity, teamwork, empathy, intelligence, and more. In this lecture, we explored how we can create diverse tests and quizzes using ChatGPT, how we can use the prompt formula and change out different variables to get everything from multiple choice to fill-in-the-blank questions. We looked at how we can vary the parameters to change the difficulty and the subject of our test. Welcome to this lecture on using ChatGPT to translate different text. ChatGPT is a master translator, and you can use it to quickly translate different pieces of information. Translation is an essential part of communication, allowing us to bridge language barriers and connect with people all around the world. ChatGPT can make translation faster and easier than ever before. So let's dive into how you can use it for translation. The prompt formula we're working with here today is very simple. It's simply translate the following text from, and then put your language in, to, and then put the output language. So it could be translate the following text from English to Spanish. So you can take any text you like here and have a go at translating it. I will take a section from this article on Chinese balloon sensors recovered over the US, paste it in, and you can quickly see how it is able to translate this into Spanish. Now, a great tip here is you can simultaneously translate your text into multiple languages just by adding a comma and a list of the languages you're looking for. So here I'm translating into Spanish, Japanese, and Italian. One way that I've been using language translation on ChatGPT is to translate the titles of my YouTube videos into other languages. And to do that, I simply put in translate the following text from English into Spanish, Hindi, Chinese, Japanese, and Portuguese. And it quickly outputs all of my titles into these languages, which allows me to broaden my audience and make sure I have correctly translated titles. So if you have a lot of translation work to do, or if you're looking to make your content accessible in other countries, this is a great way to make sure that you've got accurate, high quality translations. So remember, when you're using translations in ChatGPT, to put in the source language and the output target language. You can also translate simultaneously into different languages by adding those as a list with commas separating them. In this lecture, we're going to be working on a project together. This is where it gets really exciting to take what we've learned and put it into ChatGPT to get real content that we can take and express into the world. And in this lecture, we're going to be writing a speech together. So if you've got an important presentation coming up soon, perhaps you're giving a talk at a conference, to your colleagues, to your friends, or even at a social event or gathering, you can use ChatGPT to write your speech. And it does exceedingly well. So come into ChatGPT, start a new chat, and we're going to ask it to write a keynote speech about, and then we're going to insert the topic. After that, we're going to give it some context to train the response. I'm going to ask it to write a keynote speech about AI with the purpose of inspiring and motivating the audience. You can add in a time length or a word count. I will go with around 300 words. Now, the first edition of the speech that we get out is probably not going to be exactly what you're looking for. I can already see that, ladies and gentlemen, maybe a little bit too formal for how I would like to start a speech. So, as this is going, you can even stop generating and give it some input to harness your response. I'm going to say, be less formal and more precise and inspiring. Now we have, good morning everyone. I'm here to talk about the power of AI and how it's shaping our future in ways we could never have imagined. AI isn't just about robots. It's about creating smart systems that can learn and make decisions on their own. And this has the potential to revolutionize our world. This is an engaging start, and it's certainly the type of speech that I'm looking for in this experiment. And now you can harness this and expand on different areas. So now you can work on the speech. Start to look at areas you want to expand or change. So I will ask it for examples on how to make a positive impact on the world. So now we have examples which include self-driving cars, helping healthcare professionals diagnose diseases more accurately, and improving the way we manage our finance. The possibilities are endless. Now, you can even ask ChatGPT to evaluate its own speech. So we're going to say, tell me how to improve this speech. And it's suggesting we could have a stronger opening. And it's giving us 3 options here: a thought-provoking quote, a personal story, or a surprising statistic. And if we look at the start of our speech, it is, good morning everyone. I'm here to talk about the power of AI. And this is okay, but I'm not exactly on the edge of my seat. So I'm going to ask it to suggest 5 ideas for the start of my speech, taking into account your ideas for, and then we're going to paste in a thought-provoking quote, a personal story, or surprising statistic. It's important to remember when making a speech that people will remember most the first thing you say and the last thing you say. So putting more of your effort into closing these out effectively is a great tactic in leaving a lasting impression on your audience. So here is an interesting quote that it suggested from the late great Stephen Hawking. It says, "The rise of powerful AI will be either the best or worst thing ever to happen to humanity. We do not know which yet." Then you can lead into your speech. I'm here to talk about AI. The second option it gives us is a personal story. It's asking us to start with a personal story that relates to AI and its potential impact. Share a story about a time when AI made a positive difference in your life or the life of someone you know. So the ball goes back to your court here, where you need to take an anecdote that you've experienced. And you can even use ChatGPT to elaborate, expand, and articulate your experience into an engaging story. So I've asked it to write a short story, 1 paragraph, to be engaging about how I used AI to design the perfect romantic evening for proposing to my wife. Now it's not writing the first person, so I will give it this feedback. And here we have a much better response. We've got, I was determined to make my proposal to my wife Sarah unforgettable. With the help of AI technology, I was able to design the perfect romantic evening. I used an AI-powered virtual assistant to find the best restaurant in town, choose the perfect menu, and even select the perfect background music. On the day of the proposal, as we sat in a candlelit restaurant with a stunning view of the city skyline, I watched as the AI-powered lights dimmed and soft music filled the air. I took a deep breath, got down on one knee, and with tears in my eyes, I asked her to be my wife. It was a magical moment that we will never forget, and I couldn't have done it without AI. Now, this is definitely a attention-grabbing start. It's anecdotal and it brings in a lot of emotion. Now, the third option is to integrate a surprising statistic. The statistic it gave us here is that AI is expected to create 2.3 million jobs by 2025. However, I don't find that particularly impressive, seeing as I would imagine it should be a lot more. So I'm going to ask it for other stats I could use. So I'll ask it for, please suggest 5 more stats I could use for my intro. Now we have 5 more stats, and these are much better. The first is the global AI market size is expected to reach 300 billion by the year 2025. By 2030, AI could add 15.7 trillion in the global economy. So now I'm going to also see the other suggestions that we had. Number 4 was vision for the future. Start with a vision for the future and how AI could help us achieve it. Paint a picture of a world where AI has made a positive impact and how it could help us create a better future for us all. So we can take this as our prompt. So we're asking it for an idea, and then we're taking that idea and refining that into a prompt to create the piece of content. So I've asked it to write a short paragraph on a vision for the future. I'll ask it to be inspiring, dramatic, and descriptive. Here we have, imagine a world where AI has made a positive impact on every aspect of our lives. A world where our cities are smart and efficient. Traffic flows smoothly and energy is used in a sustainable and environmentally conscious way. AI-powered healthcare systems have improved patient outcomes and diseases. And this is a compelling story that you're creating here. You're painting a picture in the minds of the audience. And the final suggestion it has is a challenging question. What if AI could help us solve some of the world's biggest challenges, like climate change and poverty? And it suggests that this can set the tone for the rest of your speech and engage your audience. So now we've got a few more ideas for how you can improve the introduction to your speech. And I suggest taking which one you like best and then telling ChatGPT to integrate that into your speech. So now I've asked it to take the idea for the quote from Stephen Hawking and the statistic about the value of AI and integrate them into the introduction of my speech. And now the introduction of my speech starts with the quote, the rise of powerful AI. It leads on to explaining the stat that we included, and it has continued with a compelling opening to our speech. So now I'll ask it to continue, and we can go back and even look at some of the other pointers it suggested for improving the speech. It suggests to be clear and concise and use passionate and enthusiastic language. Highlight the benefits and end with a call to action. We can take the feedback and we can think about how we can improve the ending of our speech. So I'm going to ask for 5 call to actions that I could use at the end of my talk. Here we have some options. I particularly like the first option, which is encouraging the audience to start thinking about how they can use AI to make a positive impact on their own communities and to start exploring the potential of AI for themselves. So I will ask it to integrate this option into our speech. And now we have a compelling speech that we could take and give to an audience. And the key things to remember here is to use ChatGPT to give you more ideas. Ask ChatGPT to evaluate its own work and suggest ways to improve different aspects of the speech. You can then ask it to give us suggestions for those different parts and integrate our favorites. You can see here that it will break down the speech into different sections, and we can take these and put a final edit together ourselves. In this lecture, we explored how to create a keynote speech, how to write engaging and compelling speeches that will keep your audiences enthralled. We went through the process of improving this speech and getting ChatGPT to refine and improve its own work. We looked at creating many different ideas with ChatGPT and using our own taste, decision, and intention to refine the speech. So good luck with your next presentation, and I'm sure that you're going to wow your audience. In this lecture, we're going to be working on a project to name a business with ChatGPT. This is one of the areas where ChatGPT really excels. It's fantastic coming up with a lot of creative suggestions for a given use case. When naming a business, it's great to come up with as many ideas as possible before refining down our favorites. So let's jump in and take a look at how we can name our next business with ChatGPT. We're going to start a new chat. And the formula we're going to be using for this prompt is give me X number of names for a business on X. Give me 10 names for a blog about interesting hikes and walks. I'm using a blog about hiking here, but you can do it for absolutely anything, even if it's a physical product or a service industry. So here are the examples we have. Footloose adventures, trekking treasures, hikers haven, trail tales. Oh, I like that one a lot. Pathways to paradise, wandering wonders, rock, route and rambles, nature's nook, hiking highlights, journey jaunts. A couple of things you can do here is to ask ChatGPT about how to name a business well. So now we've got a checklist of different elements to bear in mind when naming our business. We've got to make sure that it's memorable, so it's easy to spell and pronounce. I had a little bit of trouble pronouncing Hikers Haven, so I'm going to take that one off of the list. I'll now look through the others and see which of these might be difficult to spell. Nature's Nook. I'm not so familiar with the word nook, so it's hard to remember, as well as being possibly difficult to spell. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Nook.
Nook. So now we can ask ChatGPT to take this criteria and apply it to our brand names. Although ChatGPT asks for more context, it does suggest that Footloose Adventures and Trail Tales are the strongest candidates. And I like that because Trail Tales was the first one that I selected as my favorite. So we can see that ChatGPT is validating my own decisions. So I've asked it to take that example, which was my favorite, and give me 10 variations. Now, it's going to take the essence of this name and give me 10 other options. So here we've got footpath fables, hiking histories, pathway ponderings, trekking tales, nature narratives, outdoor odyssey, journeys, wandering whisperers, adventure accounts, and expedition echoes. And you can see here that it has included a number of alliterative names for the brand. This is where the first letter of both words start with the same letter. For example, journeys. But that's just the same word with the plural added. Or a better example is trekking tales. This is an important feature to include when naming a business because it helps people remember what it is. Now, we can also ask ChatGPT for some feedback on these. So I've asked it to tell me what are the strengths and weaknesses of the brand name Pathway Ponderings. It's suggesting that the strength is that it's unique and memorable. It's referred to the catchy rhythm and alliteration, which we just mentioned, as well as it also reflecting the content of our blog. Now it's going into the weaknesses. It's saying that the length is a little bit long, and it is quite a long title, with both words having more than 8 letters. It also said that the word ponderings may be considered complex or difficult to understand. It's not the most well-known or well-used word. So on one hand, it makes it distinctive, memorable, and unique, but it is also a little bit too obscure to understand. And it's an interesting weakness that it has identified lastly, which is limited versatility. The name may be limiting in terms of future expansion or changes in blog's focus, as it is specific to the idea of hiking and pondering, meaning that you might not be able to expand this blog in future if you want to include more diverse content. This is an important thing to bear in mind with any business that you're creating, that over time, it's likely that you will want to branch out and expand your business as it grows. I, for one, have experienced this difficulty with my own business, which is named Delightful Design. And as I've gone more into the world of AI, it has become a less relevant brand name for the subject that I'm addressing. And yet I still want to maintain the loyalty to my original brand as well as harnessing the audience that exists there. So a good tip to remember here is to think about the future of your brand. Now, I'm going to ask it to do exactly the same, but with my favorite example. So take your favorite example from the one that you're working on and see how the strengths and weaknesses compare. You can now take the strengths and weaknesses and look at the differences between your favorite options. After that, you can ask ChatGPT to assess and compare the strengths and weaknesses. And ChatGPT gives a very balanced suggestion on which of these to use, saying it depends more on the content of your blog and project than on which one is stronger, suggesting that both of these names are strong and can work in different instances. So let's go ahead and try this again with a different example. And this time, let's use a physical object. So I've asked it to give me 10 brand names for a drawing easel. And here we have Artisan Easel, Draw Master, Masterpiece Easel, Sketch Stand, Palette Pro, Canvas Comfort, Brush Ease, Studio Stance, Picture Perfect Easel, and Creation Corner. My favorite here is certainly Studio Stance. These names are excellent examples for drawing easels. In this lecture, we explored naming a brand using ChatGPT. We looked at taking our suggestions and evaluating them based on the criteria that ChatGPT suggests for an effective brand name. We've asked it to take our favorite and give us variations on this. Asking ChatGPT to name a brand is an excellent way to get a lot of ideas very quickly. Hello and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we're going to make the most of the creative possibilities in ChatGPT, and we're going to write some poetry together. Poetry is an art form that's been around for millenniums, and it helps express our feelings, emotions, and experiences in a creative way. Poetry holds great weight in helping us make sense of some of the most difficult situations in our lives, whether that's love, loss, or meaning. And you can use your poems to send to a loved one, to make a humorous limerick in your work, or even if you want to pursue a career as a poet. So let's take the prompt formula for this lesson, which is write a type of poem, where type of poem can be a sonnet, a haiku, a limerick, free verse, a ballad, an ode, a gazelle, a villanelle, and any other type of poem that you're looking for. And then you want to add in a subject. So you can decide whether this is about nature or love, family or work, or even drinking a cup of coffee. Finally, you can define the tone of your poem, whether that is humorous, serious, romantic, nostalgic, ironic, or melancholic. So go ahead and copy this prompt and let's paste it into a new chat. So we're going to write a type of poem. I'm going to go with a limerick, which is a short rhyming poem about my friend Sally, and the tone is going to be silly. There once was a girl named Sally whose hair was quite long and quite tally. She danced like a loon to a bizarre tune and ended up in a valley. So let's try a different example. So this time I've asked for a haiku about wearing socks, and the tone should be thoughtful. So go ahead and try out a haiku yourself. Pick an obscure scene, object, or experience, and choose your tone. Here is my haiku about wearing socks. Soft, woolen embrace, hugging my feet as I walk. Socks keep me grounded. Touching, really. Now we're going to try another type of poem. So in my example, I'm trying a free verse poem about growing old gracefully. And the tone should be reflective. But I encourage you to experiment. Try another variation on your poem and pick something that's close to your heart. As I grow old and gracefully age, I realize that time is but a cage. For our bodies will wither and fade, but our spirits will forever pervade. The wisdom that comes with age, the calmness that settles in our age, the love that grows with every year. These are the things that we should hold dear. Here we can see the tact, empathy, and articulation that ChatGPT can produce on any given theme. So if you're looking to become the next poet laureate, or you're just looking to send a quirky limerick to your son, this is a great tool. Hello and welcome back to ChatGPT Mastery. In this lecture, we're going to explore crafting our own jokes with ChatGPT. This is one of my favorite things to do with ChatGPT, and it does exceptionally well with a few types of jokes. Being humorous and comical is a great tool in life. You can use it in your personal life to help you and your friends have a laugh about a certain situation. You might have had something happen to you recently and you want to make a joke about it with your friends. And you can use ChatGPT to help you come up with some funny suggestions. You can also use it in your professional life to gain admiration and respect from your colleagues and your boss. Everyone likes a person with a sense of humor. And it can also come in handy when you are dating to make light of a situation. Not to mention, you can bring in humor into your writing, your communication, and even into your content creation. So, whether you want to be a comedian or you just want to have a laugh with your friends, writing jokes with ChatGPT is a great place to start. Here is the prompt formula that we're going to be working with in this project. Write a type of joke about a subject incorporating a specific item or detail. For example, you might write an ironic joke about scientists and atoms. And the response I got for this is, why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make everything up. It's not exactly laugh out loud funny, but it makes sense and it causes the mind to think. It's a clever joke. So let's go ahead and build a joke together. Let's take our prompt, copy it, jump into ChatGPT, paste it in, and define the type of joke. So there is a number of different types of joke that you can use inside of ChatGPT. You can use a pun, a one-liner, a knock-knock joke, a story joke, an observational humor joke, and many more. You can check out all of these variables in the external resources below. So I've asked for a pun about a toaster and a computer. Why did the computer break up with the toaster? Because it thought the toaster was too crummy for it. Whoa, unbelievable. So let me show you a few other examples which I thought worked quite well. Write a self-deprecating joke about a clumsy person. I'm so clumsy, I once tripped on a wireless network. Oh yes, that's wonderful. And write a pun about a baker with a missing ingredient. Why did the baker's business go under? He needed the dough, but he couldn't rise to the occasion without his yeast. You can use ChatGPT to craft good jokes. I recommend it works best with puns and wordplay, irony and one-liners, or with jokes with a clear structure, like a knock-knock joke or a why did the chicken cross the road joke. It does not fare so well with story jokes or comical situations. But with a little bit of craft and patience, you can get out a pretty funny set of jokes. So next time you have a speech to write or you want to make your friends laugh, why not try writing a joke with ChatGPT? In this lecture, we're going to be starting a project where we will use ChatGPT to create prompts for AI art. This is one of the greatest ways that you can make the most of AI technologies by combining new AI programs with each other. And we can use ChatGPT to create prompts for AI art generators. In this lecture, I will be using Midjourney as the AI art generator. I have an entire course on that if you're interested in learning more about AI art. I'll leave a link in the description below. But I'll also leave you a link to a free AI art generator, which you can use instead. These prompts will work with any AI art generator. So let's dive into ChatGPT and start generating some prompts for our AI art. Now, the formula we'll be using in this lecture is please give me a specific visual description for a, and here we input the object, character, or whatever it is that we are looking to create in our AI art. In this example, I'm going to put in mystical space landscape. Then you add in using only visual adjectives and nouns. This means that ChatGPT will only use descriptive words and objects for our prompt. This keeps our prompt concise and gives the AI art generator language that we can understand. I've asked it to write the answer with traits separated by commas. This trains ChatGPT to give us a prompt in the correct way. And I've also asked it to include references to artists, movies, or subcultures, because these are the basis of styles which AI art generators can interpret really well. So if you ask it to give you an image in the style of Vincent van Gogh or in the style of the film Blade Runner, we get very strong aesthetics. I've also asked it to include colors, mood, lighting, and aesthetic, because these are all variables that we can harness inside of AI art generators. Finally, you can send this entire command, and immediately we get a very descriptive prompt from ChatGPT. Vibrant swirling clouds of vibrant pink, purples and pinks, dotted with stars and glowing nebula, a massive otherworldly gas. And we can highlight this, copy it, and put it into our AI art generator. I'm using Midjourney, and I won't dive into the particulars of setting this up here, because you can check out my other course for that. But if you simply type in imagine and paste in your prompt, you can press enter, and you'll be presented with beautiful AI art. Now, we can even go back to ChatGPT and refine the prompt a little bit. We can ask it to add a character center stage. And now we can take this prompt and put it back into our AI art generator and see how it affects the output that we get. You can see that in the prompt, they've reflected on some aesthetics from popular culture, like Mass Effect. Here we can see the art generated from our second prompt with the protagonist, and the art from the first prompt, which is just the space scene. I also created some cute characters you can see here. These guys are particularly engaging, and also a sci-fi heroine. Here you can see this woman is perfect for generating images, for game design, for articulating an idea around a movie or film. So I'll leave the formula for this prompt in the description below, and you can use it to enhance your AI art designs. In this lecture, we explored how to use ChatGPT for writing AI art prompts to get specific visual descriptions using adjectives and nouns of different objects or characters. We asked it to recommend certain styles or assets from popular culture to inspire our artworks. We took a look at how to use these inside of Midjourney, and we also elaborated on our prompt by refining it. This is a great use case for ChatGPT. Thanks for watching this lecture. In this project, we're going to take everything we've learned and put it together to create an entire non-fiction book. We're going to take all the skills we've learned, combine them into a real project where you'll get yourself an entire book which you can even publish and earn money from. This is where it gets really exciting as you increase your productivity and creativity. In this first lecture, we're going to explore the topic of our book. The key to getting the most out of ChatGPT is playing to its strengths. It's very important that we use what it's really good at. And what ChatGPT is really good at is coming up with lots of ideas and writing us short pieces of coherent text. So we're going to write a book that makes use of this by creating a book about 100 ways to do something better. We're going to use this as a Bible for how to be more creative, how to be more organized, how to be more likable, how to have better relationships or save money whilst traveling, or anything that you can think of to improve. But first of all, we're going to see what types of subjects we could write about, and we're going to ask ChatGPT. So the prompt I want you to use here is, please give me 20 ideas for a non-fiction book about 100 ways to do something better. And now we're going to get a list of ideas, and I want you to select which one is most interesting for you. So we have 100 ways to manage your time more effectively, to build better relationships with your co-workers, to improve your public speaking skills, ways to stay focused and avoid distractions whilst working, to reduce stress, to save money, to eat healthier, to increase your productivity. So I like the idea of ways to reduce stress and anxiety in your daily life. But go ahead and choose which one appeals to you. And if you don't like any of these, you can ask for more ideas, or even for more ideas around a certain theme. So it could be around mental health, for example. So you could ask it to be more specific. Ask it to give you ideas specifically around a different topic. I've used the prompt to give me 5 ideas only around mental health. And here we have self-care, coping with stress, cultivating resilience, improving communication and relationships, and overcoming negative thinking. So I particularly like this 100 ways to practice self-care and prioritize your mental health. So now we're going to copy the title we like most, and we're going to get some ideas for the title of our book. So we will ask ChatGPT to please give me 10 title variations on this title. Then paste in your favorite title. And what happens here is ChatGPT will put more thought into coming up with creative titles. One of the ways to get the most out of ChatGPT is to encourage it to think through each of the steps of a process individually. This is a method of making sure that you're getting ChatGPT to actually think carefully about each step of the process. By breaking down the entire creation of a book into this step-by-step process with ChatGPT, you're able to get the most out of this new technology. So now we have 10 much more creative ideas for the title of our book. The Self-Care Handbook, 100 Ways to Prioritize Your Mental Health. Mindful Self-Care, 100 Strategies for Prioritizing Your Mental Health. I hope there's one that you like in there. And what you can do is copy your favorite. So I'm going to go with the Self-Care Handbook. Now, the next step is we're going to use another tool to actually edit our book. This is because ChatGPT is great at coming up with ideas, getting responses, but it's not so good at actually formatting and editing a long piece of text. And for that, I recommend that we use Google Docs. So go ahead and click on the link in the external resources below. Then once you've logged into Google Docs, I'm going to encourage you to start a new document, and we're going to take our favorite title and paste it into the top left-hand corner. Now we've got the title for our book. In the next lecture, we're going to explore the contents, the architecture. In this lesson, we looked at asking ChatGPT to give us ideas for a non-fiction book, playing to the strengths of ChatGPT. We then explored taking a title, getting variations, and choosing our favorite. We've now created the formatting document in Google Docs where we'll create our book. In this lecture, we're going to start to build the contents of our book. We're going to get the chapters, and then we're going to organize them into a coherent structure for our book. So now we have the box of our book, the outline. We're going to go inside and start to scaffold out the main parts. So to do that, simply ask ChatGPT to please give me 100 chapter headings for 100 ways to prioritize your mental health. Please categorize these into 5 sections. Go ahead and send your command to ChatGPT for your chosen topic. And now we're going to start to get our individual sections. Section 1, mindfulness and emotional regulation. Chapters include develop a mindfulness practice, practice deep breathing exercises, keep a gratitude journal, cultivate self-compassion, develop a mindfulness-based stress reduction routine. Section 2, self-care practices. Section 3, coping skills for stress and anxiety. Now you may have noticed that it only gave me 50 when I asked for 100. So you can add clarification for ChatGPT, telling it exactly how many you want. So I've asked it to please add 10 more to each section. And this time it's following exactly what I want it to do. Now, once these have been generated, you can go ahead and copy them and paste them into our document. Go ahead and select all of this by pressing Command A, go to Format and Clear Formatting. We're now going to add some headings into the document, which will give us navigation for us to easily move around the document inside of Google Docs. And to do that, simply select the section heading, come up to the toolbar at the top where it says normal text, click on this, and change this to a heading 2. Once you've clicked on that, it will enlarge the text, and on the left hand side, you'll be able to click on Show Document Outline, which is this square icon with lines and dots on it. And now we have quick links to jump around our document. You can go ahead and select the individual chapter headings and make these into a H3 by going to Normal Text, Heading 3, Apply Heading 3. And now you can see all of these pop up on our left hand side. In this lecture, we looked at getting the chapter headings for our book. We asked for 100 different ways to do something, and then we took those into Google Docs and started to format our document so that it's easy to navigate. In the next lecture, we're going to look at writing the individual chapters for our book. In this lecture, we're going to continue crafting our non-fiction book, our 100 ways to make people's lives better. And I'm going to ask you to come back to ChatGPT, select your first chapter, develop a mindfulness practice. And I'm going to ask you to, first of all, ask for an introduction to your book. So I've entered the prompt, please write me a 150-word introduction to the Self-Care Handbook, 100 ways to prioritize your mental health in the style of a self-help book. And now we're getting the introduction. This book is your guide to taking charge of your well-being and finding greater balance and fulfillment in your life. Do you find yourself constantly feeling overwhelmed, stressed out, or simply drained? Are you struggling to find the time and energy to take care of yourself amidst the demands of your daily life? If so, this book is for you. You can go ahead and copy this into our document, add a section for the introduction, format that to be a heading 2, and paste in your introduction. Go ahead and clear the formatting by selecting your text, going to Format. At the bottom, we have Clear Formatting. You can change the text to Normal Text, which is the top option in our text formatting options. Now, our next option is to write the first chapter. So we're going to copy the title of the first chapter. We'll come back into ChatGPT, paste the name of that chapter in, and we're going to use the following prompt. Please write me 200 words on developing a daily mindfulness practice. Now you will get your text back and you can ask specifically for changes. Like I would ask for some exact step-by-step instructions. Now we have some actionable tips which you can add to your chapter. This is a great way to give readers of your book real ways of implementing the information. One of the ways to improve what you get out of ChatGPT is to ask it to improve. It often gives you a fairly middle-of-the-road, average answer to anything you ask it for. And to improve the quality of the writing and the content that you produce, you're going to have to go back, edit, improve, and ask for improvements from ChatGPT. So again, to make this even better, what we can do is ask ChatGPT, please suggest how to improve this text. Paste in your chapter and reflect on the suggestions that ChatGPT offers you. It's saying that we should define mindfulness more explicitly, which is a pretty good idea because it's a rather vague, abstract term that I think turns a lot of people off the concept. So what you can ask it to do is, once it's suggested improvements, you can ask it to take these improvements and integrate them into the text. Simply by asking ChatGPT, please integrate these improvements into my text. And you can see instantly it's gone ahead and it's defined mindfulness more clearly. Mindfulness involves focusing your attention on the present moment without judgment or distraction. Now, it's important to understand that any creative work takes effort, time, and creativity. And ChatGPT is merely a tool that we can use to enhance our potential creativity. If you ask ChatGPT to simply spit out a book in one shot without reworking it, you're going to get a book. But the idea is that it's not going to be a particularly good or memorable book. But if you take the time to go through the book, improve it, reflect, and concentrate on creating a coherent experience through the entire work, you're going to actually be able to create something that is profound, meaningful, and helpful to others. So go ahead and take your revised chapter, copy it, and paste it into your document. After this, you can continue going through each of your chapters, writing them, defining them, and improving them before pasting them into your document. In the next lecture, we'll explore how we can use ChatGPT for other parts of our book writing process. Now we've gone through our book and written the entire thing, it's time to add some finishing touches to our work. We're going to be looking at designing a cover with ChatGPT. And to do that, we're going to ask for some ideas about imagery or graphics that could work well. So to do that, type in, please suggest 10 visual cover concepts for my book, The Self-Care Handbook, 100 Ways to Prioritize Your Mental Health. Put your book title in here. So it's suggesting first a calm and serene nature landscape, a collection of self-care items such as a candle, journal, and tea, arranged artistically with the title on top. A minimalist cover. These are some useful suggestions to start off the brainstorming process of creating your cover. I can suggest that you come next to a website called unsplash.com, which is a free collection of images donated by photographers. And you can take one of the keywords that you found here, like a photograph of a person meditating, in this instance, but you select which one you like best, and you can type it in to the search bar, press enter, and you'll immediately get a free to use image that you can take for your cover. I will take this one. Now you can go ahead and drag and drop this straight into your document. And now we need a font for the cover of our book. Using ChatGPT for input on specific domains of expertise is a great way to improve your own understanding and ability in aspects of life that you may not have so much experience with. So for example, you might not be a designer or a book cover specialist, but you can make the most of ChatGPT to quickly select elements such as fonts or imagery that will take your design skills to the next level. So we can simply ask, please suggest a free font available in Google Docs that fits the title of my book, and then insert the title of your book. So it's suggesting Montserrat, and it's even given us instructions on where to find it. Let's try that out. We'll come back into our document, we'll come up to the top, into fonts, and we'll look for Montserrat. We'll give it medium, and that looks pretty good. Now, if you don't want to use a font from Google Docs, you can ask it for other fonts available across the web. So I've asked it to please suggest 3 fonts that are not from Google Docs. Now it suggested a font called Cormorant, so I'm going to have a look for that. And Cormorant is a free to use font that is a serif font, which means it has these ligatures, which are like little legs, which make it slightly more traditional looking, and it could fit very well for our design. And you can easily download this font and install it on your computer. And if you wanted to go the extra step, you could use a program like Canva, where you can create your book cover with more aesthetic control. But for the time being, I'm going to stick with Montserrat. Now, another interesting thing that we can do with ChatGPT is generate a number of interesting pen names that we could use as the author of our book. It can be fun to have a distinctive, interesting, and collaborative name that works well with the content of the book. For example, so I've asked it, please give me 10 author names that are a play on words for a book, The Self-Care Handbook. And here we get some beautiful names. Serene Shepherd. I would read a book by Serene Shepherd. Mindy Wellbeing. Now, if we're not so keen on these, or we want them to have more of a natural sound to them, we can ask ChatGPT, make these sound more realistic as real names. Harper Hart, Cole Collier, Parker Peacemaker, Heath Holland. So I quite like Tessa Tranquil, so we'll take this and put it into our book. And there we have it. That is how to write an entire non-fiction book inside of ChatGPT, making the most of the features available and taking a process and breaking it down step by step to give ChatGPT a better chance of giving you quality content. One of the most important factors in this process is asking ChatGPT to do every step individually, asking it to reflect on its own work, and going back and improving it. Make sure that you have a good idea about the overall impact of your book so you can create a stylistic consistency. Once you've finished your book, there's nothing stopping you from publishing it on Amazon and starting to generate an income from this process. I would suggest that if you're serious about this, you're going to look at creating a niche and a specific consistent appeal for your books and making sure that you have a number of different titles available in your library. So it might be that you're creating guides on mental health and self-help. It might be that you're looking to create travel guides around specific locations. Or perhaps you're providing information on developing certain career skills like leadership and communication. Whatever you choose, I wish you the best in creating your own books. And well done for creating an entire book inside of ChatGPT.